Hello and welcome to Cheshire Audio. Now today, as you can see, I've got a Planar 1, Rega Planar 1 in front of me. What I want to talk about, I get a lot of phone calls from people who bought Planar 1s, and usually they're bought as a present. You know, quite often people get them as birthday presents because they've wanted to get the record down, they want a record player to play them on, or they bought them for themselves. And it's usually people who've had record players before, and it was a great hobby and they loved it, and then sort of the 90s happened and CD happened and people went away from using records. Now it's all come back, people sort of, oh actually perhaps I need to revisit that. And most people are ringing up and saying, I'm shocked how good they are. I didn't realise what I've been missing all these years, and I'm desperate to get into. I've bought the Planar 1. How can I make it better? How can I make it even better than it is? And the obvious answer to that is to trade in the Planar 1. Not that there's anything wrong with the Planar 1, it's a superb turntable, but it is actually quite finely balanced as it is. The obvious thing to do would be to trade it in and buy a Planar 2 or a Planar 3 or one of the higher end projects, or just something at a high level really, because the fundamental parts of the turntable kind of limit the Planar 1 a little bit. The tone arm is not as good as the one on the Planar 2 and the 3. This has got the sort of phenolic resin platter. It's not got the glass platter, which is a much better flywheel. So it's kind of limited in that respect. So if you put a better cartridge in it, you are kind of limited where you can go with it. I mean, I've seen people put £200 cartridges into Planar 1s, and it's kind of lost on it really, because the tone arm itself hasn't got the resolving capability for that sort of level cartridge. You'd lose a lot. It'll sound better, but you will lose a lot of the definition and things. You can replace the cartridge, but you have to sort of keep it within a certain boundary. There are other things you can do. Not a lot, to be fair, but there's things that you can do to a Planar 1 to really make it, to really lift it performance-wise. One of the things you can do actually is to just make sure it's sitting on something light. Don't put it on a heavy bookcase, or if you've got a big record storage rack, don't just sit it on top of that. Or if you have to do that, then try and isolate it, try and lift it up off things. I mean, there's a thing that I've seen on some of the forums, and quite often forums just make me angry. Some of the rubbish that's spoken on forums really does annoy me. But there's been a few comments about using IKEA cutting boards made of bamboo, because bamboo is a very dead material, and a couple of like little focal pods or so little feet or whatever under one of these bamboo cutting boards, that lifts the performance of the P1 quite a lot. Actually, it makes it sound lighter and brighter. It does work. Or just something to isolate it from what it's sitting on, or put it on a lightweight table. I mean, years ago there used to be specific lightweight turntable tables, made as minimally as possible and as light as possible, so they didn't store any vibration, because any stored vibration will come straight up onto the platter, straight through the stylus, and it blurs all the fine details. So that's a simple thing you can do. As far as the deck goes, or the wall bracket, if you get the Rega wall bracket, if your wall is, you have to think about whether your floors or your walls are the most rigid. If you've got suspended floors, then get a wall bracket and put the deck on the wall. If you've got solid floors, then you need a lightweight table. That's the ultimate. Not everybody can do that, but that's, if you can, you do it. As far as the deck goes, I'd always say the first thing to do with the Planar 1, actually, I'll just take the lid off, is change the platter. Now, the phenolic resin platter is much criticised, again on forums. It's actually sonically quite good. It is sonically very good. And what Rega have been trying to do, they've been trying to keep the price down. I mean, obviously it's a budget turntable in the scheme of things. It's still a lot of money, but it's a budget turntable in the scheme of things. And the phenolic resin, that's the same material that they make the sub-platters out of. It's a very dead material, very mouldable, very very easy to make into products, and it is quite, like I say, sonically very good. I mean, it's better than, you say, using MDF, which a lot of manufacturers use. The only thing against it is actually quite light. I mean, obviously they've thickened out the edge here to try and give a bit of a flywheel effect, but classic Rega's always had the glass platter. And the reason they have a glass platter is it's very, very dense. It's remarkably heavy for the size of it, and it acts as a fantastic flywheel, because I've said this before, as the platter is turning, believe it or not, the amount of friction from the stylus will actually, if there's like a big crescendo or a steady drum beat, it will slightly slow the platter, not perceptibly, not so you'd hear it sort of wowing, but it sort of affects the pitch slightly, and you do pick it up. You don't sort of hear it as a slowing. You just, I can only describe it as it makes the music sound a bit dead. It just makes the band sound as though they're not really actually that into it. They're just doing it for the money and whatever. Just by changing, what am I? You can actually you can buy a platter for a P2, just put a glass platter on it. Simple as that. There's no problems with adjusting things or anything like that. It's just a straight fit onto a P1, and it really lifts the sort of pitch stability. Gives it much sort of a cleaner bass. It also makes it seem to extend further down as well, because it cleans up the upper bass. You can sort of hear what's going on lower down with it. So that's a really good upgrade. Quite difficult to get hold of, actually. I sell, when I can get them, I do sell quite a lot of P2 platters to people, but getting them out of Rega isn't easy. So if you order one, be prepared to have to wait a bit, because they do sometimes take a while to come through. So yeah, that's your first sort of upgrade. That is a fundamental thing with the deck. So it's pitch stability is always the thing you're trying to achieve, is keeping that momentum going in the platter, not letting it slow for any reason. Like I say, with the isolation, if you try and isolate it as much, so you're trying to stop the resonances and you're trying to keep pitch stable. At this point, you can then think about cartridges. I'm actually sort of bypassing purposely matte materials. Felt matte is the best. Whatever you read anywhere, the felt matte is the best. Is the best for the best material to use. I've seen people using leather, cork, etc., etc., big heavy thick rubber mats and all this sort of thing. This is something that was gone through 40 years ago, and it keeps coming back and then disappearing again. Felt has always been the best. It's a bit irritating. It can be a bit irritating sometimes. If you get a brand new record and lift it off, you find the mat comes with the record. Or if you're the sort of person who overly cleans your records, if you use a carbon fibre brush a lot, keep scrubbing your records with it and all, it charges the record up, and then the static brings the mat off. The answer to it is don't clean your records as often, really, because it doesn't give really any benefit. That's the subject for another video, because really, record cleaning is something you need to have a talk about that one, I think. But anyway, felt mat, glass platter. Okay, so cartridges. To be honest, I really like the carbon. And I know a lot of forums have sort of slighted it as being, well, it's just a 3600, Audio Technica. It is. It's sort of known. I mean, it's not a secret. I mean, Rega haven't sort of tried to hide the fact that it's an Audio Technica 3600. It's a bit like, pretty much all the Link cartridges a few years ago were all Audio Technicas. It's at that sort of price, they might as well buy them in, really, and it does suit the tone arm, and it works really well, and it comes free with the deck, so get use out of it, really. It's actually quite a dynamic, punchy sounding cartridge, really. When you compare it to other things around that sort of money, it really does have quite a punch to it. It's not very refined. It's not, it's a bit raggy, if anything, but it does let you enjoy your records. If you want a bit more refinement, I'd say look at something like the Audio Technica VM range. So there's about 5 of them. So there's 95C. I wouldn't say the 95C. I don't think gives you much over the carbon. So I'd probably skip that one. If anything, I'd probably prefer the carbon to the 95C. 95E is the elliptical version. That is a lot more refined than the carbon, and it gives you a bit more sort of airiness in the sound. Tracks better, sort of, you'll find a lot more of your older records sound better with it, because it's tracking a bit deeper and it's better all around. The next one probably to look at is the EN, which is elliptical nude, and that is quite a lot better, really. And that's probably your optimum. I wouldn't really go any higher. I mean, the other step you could do is you could go to a 95E, and then after a while, if you want to upgrade again, you can just change the styles. All the styles are interchangeable on that range, which is quite nice. It's quite a nice feature really. They all use the same body. Also, Nagoka. Now the trouble with Nagoka is at the moment I can't get hold of them. Nobody can get hold of them in the UK, and well, worldwide there seems to be a real issue at the moment. Assuming that gets resolved, I think it's to do with I think it's material shortages. They're really struggling, and I've not seen anything out of Nagoka for over a year now. The Nagoka the MP110 sounds really nice in the P1, and it's kind of over the top for the deck, but I don't think the 110 is that demanding of tone arm, so that works really nicely in a P1. Other than that, well, it doesn't need a spacer. No spacer. The Audio-Technica VMs don't need spacers. The Nagoka doesn't need a spacer. You'll probably hear on forums that you do. You don't. I've gone into the reasons for that elsewhere, but anyway, you don't need a spacer on it. It doesn't. It's pretty well level on a P1. Other than that, yeah, Rega, when it comes back into production, because there was again material shortages caused Rega to finish the Elise, but that's coming back very soon. Actually, I think they've sorted that one out. So the Elise should be back. The Elise works okay in a P1 as well. And I really like the Elise. Again, it's quite very punchy sounding cartridge, very musically engaging, like a lot of Rega things. Now, again, that gets a bit slated by forums. Don't know why. I don't know why that is. I think somebody somewhere has said something and everybody's followed it like they always do. But it works really well actually. It's a nice sounding cartridge that. I wouldn't go as far as the Exact. The Rega Exact is a much better cartridge than the Elise, but I think the tone arm might limit you on hearing any of the extra resolved information with that. I think you get up to a £300 cartridge, you're never going to get the value out of it. If you want to spend that amount of money, then definitely trade the deck in and go up. I mean, it's the only way you're going to get that level of jump, pound for pound, is to change the deck really. So yeah, that's cartridges. I mean, there are other options out there. Some Ecos. I think some Ecos are a bit too expensive now for what they are. They changed importer and the prices went up quite a lot. I don't think the Autophon range particularly suit the Regas. I think they sound quite nice, and for some reason they just sound a bit dead in Regas. And I know when I did the setup video for the P1, which I'll put a link to actually, because if you do want to change the cartridge, the things you'll need to know. Tools you'll need. You need a stylus balance. You need alignment protractor, all this sort of thing. But that's all in that video. So if I can work out how to do it, I'll put a link to it underneath. Where was I going? The Autophons, yeah. I did use an Autophon in that video, but it's partly not that I was recommending it, which some people seem to have decided I was recommending one with a P1. I wasn't really. I was just proving it didn't need a spacer, because it does seem to be one that is fitted to Regas quite a lot, and there's an argument as to whether it needs a spacer or not. It doesn't actually. You just about get away with it, but that's why I used it. That's why I used it too on red. There's not really much else actually. I mean, you wouldn't put a hammer in there. You wouldn't put any moving coils in it. I'm trying to think what else there are. The Grados probably not nowadays. They're a bit expensive in the UK now. There's a bit of an issue with humming with Grados sometimes you get with Regas. Well, with any turntable, actually, the Grados, they're not very well earthed, so they do tend to, not earthed, shielded, so they can hum a little bit. Yeah, that's it really. Like I say, favourites probably say the favourite is the VM95 range, E or EN, depending on what your budget is. Bias wise, I go into this in the video. The bias stroke anti-skate. I don't like calling it anti-skate because it confuses people. Anti-skate is nothing to do with stopping the stylus skating on the record. It's not to do with stopping it jumping. It's just to keep it centralised in the groove. And it's a very subtle force. The P1's preset to 2 grams, which covers pretty much everything really. There's not many cartridges that are outside that boundary, and Rega have kept it fixed just for ease of use really. And there's a lot of criticism for that, but actually I think I can see why they've done it, and it does make sense. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. Hopefully that's useful. Like I say, if you want thinking about P1 platter, just let me know on that. You might have to wait a little bit for one. I'm trying desperately to get a bit of stock of these, but because of COVID, there's been a bit of shortage of spares actually, and things like the platters have been quite difficult to get hold of. So let me know anyway if you're interested in that. Give me a call. Yeah, I'll stop it there. Don't forget to give us a subscribe and a like. Subscriptions are getting quite, yeah, I think getting towards that magic 2,000, getting quite excited now. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a future video. Thanks very much.